Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the Anime Banter podcast with your host, Turtle, Sean, and Mike. Thank you for joining us today. How are you guys doing today?
I'm just doing absolutely fantastic. How about you guys?
Oh, same. Yeah, can't complain. After a day of work, nothing like coming here and chatting anime with my buddies.
Absolutely.
Doing pretty good myself. Just excited to talk more Chainsaw Man. Another 2 good episodes. Working on trying to finally finish off Cyberpunk 2077
There you go.
in
I haven't had a
non-anime
chance
news.
to play that yet. How is that?
Good, good. It was it had a shaky launch, as we all know.
Yes, that's kind of why I stayed away. I was afraid.
Playing on the PS5 has been good, and it really helped watching the Cyberpunk Edge Runner show on Netflix to spark my interest in getting into it.
I've heard the show is very good.
The show is incredible. I literally I pre-ordered Cyberpunk whenever it first was announced. Really got it in the mail and I left it in the shrink wrap until I finished watching the anime. And after I watched it, I finally broke the seal, installed it on my PS5 to start playing it.
Wow.
Awesome.
We may have to cover that show on here because I've not seen that either. I've heard good things though.
Same.
Shall we jump into the anime?
Let's
Yeah,
do
let's
it.
do it.
Today we are talking about episodes 3 and 4 of Chainsaw Man. Do you guys have any general thoughts at all before we jump in?
Um, no. I mean, episodes 1 and 2 kind of leave you with the feeling of excitement and a lot of questions about where the series is gonna head. So it's just great to see the story unfold.
Yeah, I think for like the first two episodes, and I think this is pretty much for really any kind of show. Your first episode or two is going to be like your introduction, start to introduce characters. People are trying to figure out who is doing what and what's happening. These two episodes were very kind of battle heavy, which is a good thing. But I feel like because there was so much battle going on, I have a little less to talk about, just because I was just sort of kicking back and watching the action unfold, which was very good. But I don't know if I have as much to say on these two.
So let's jump into episode 3, Meowy's whereabouts. We see that I was very interested in the Denji and Power dynamic right off the get go. Denji was they were both being blamed for Power killing the sea cucumber devil. Denji seemed confused at why he was responsible for Power and why he was being blamed. And Power just said, "Oh well, this idiot's getting blamed, so yeah, I'm gonna blame him for it too." To me, it felt like they were siblings trying to blame each other in front of mom and trying to be like, "No, mom, I'm the favorite. No, I'm the favorite child. I'm the favorite child."
That's a really good point. I have a feeling that their banter going back and forth from this point forward is going to be some of the highlight of the show. That's my prediction. That it starts off rocky, but they have a similar setup where Denji is now part chainsaw demon, and Power is also like a former demon or part demon. So they have a similar situation where they're kind of like, I don't know, I guess stuck being employed by these regular humans. Otherwise, if they don't work for them, they're essentially going to be killed off. So I just feel like their dynamic is going to be pretty funny going forward. At least I hope so.
I did like the comparison of them to being siblings because it really does kind of feel more of like a brother and sister dynamic than a potential lovers dynamic. And maybe some people feel differently, but like you said, the way they act around each other, how they kind of like annoy each other, and like I don't know, it really does feel like more like they're siblings than they are lovers, and I think that um, will probably carry through the series, I imagine.
Well, let's hope they're not siblings because that could make things really awkward in the future. So I loved the next scene whenever they were where Denji was just drinking his can of water and everything, and he just blurts out fun bags. And he's just like, yeah, fun bags. And I just started dying. It's like, yep, 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 definitely got some enjoyment out of that line. And then I just love how Power's like, I hate everyone. I don't care It's like, yeah, I'm a fiend, but I hate humans. I hate devils. The only thing I like are cats. And Denji's like, well, cats are dumb. I love dogs. And all he wants to do is touch titties. And I love how Power's like, well, you can touch my tiggle bitties if you can find my cat Meowy. And one, grade A naming on that cat. And
Absolutely.
two, I loved how after she told him that, and Denji crushes the can, a little bit of water came out, and I totally expected more water or some sort of liquid to come out, as we are all known to see when it comes to those kind of things.
Yeah, I like in the I think it was episode 2 where they introduce Power. They have the cat on the roof, and we all kind of had the same reaction, like, "Oh no, is Power going to destroy this poor little cat?" And she walks right past. So now they reveal in this episode that the only thing that she likes are cats, and they actually show her picking one up, random cat, and just petting it and being nice to it. And I was I had another sigh of relief, like, "Oh, thank goodness."
Yeah, nobody likes characters who hurt cats. Liking animals is the easiest way to get you to like a character. Hating or hurting animals is the easiest way. Like, you can see a character who like kills 50 people, but like saves a dog or cat, and you're like, yes, I relate to this character. And on the flip side of that, you got a person who helps 100 people, but they kick a dog or cat, and they're the worst enemy and the true villain of the show. And that's just how it is. So you want to make people like a character, have them befriend animals.
Yep, that's absolutely true. And as a cat owner myself, I totally connect with Power there. I was like, yeah, I get that.
Humans are trash, cats are good.
Exactly. Everybody knows that. I mean, come on.
I'm a dog owner, but I still love cats.
To be clear, I love animals. So, I've never owned a dog, but I don't dislike dogs. I prefer cats as far as pets go, but I like all animals. Let's clear that up.
And I'm allergic to both dogs and cats, so I can't have either one.
I'm sorry.
Womp womp womp.
But
That's okay.
you're an animal lover in spirit.
Uh, yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, I had a dog growing up who I was allergic to, but we didn't really know I was allergic to animals until I started living with the dog, and it was pretty terrible.
You can like animals, just not live with them. So
Yeah, exactly. I'll come to your house, pet your dog, pet your cat.
So the next thing I thought that was very interesting was Power had to be signed out to go hunting, and it's a lack of trust in her. And I was wondering, is this because she's a fiend, and why does Denji not need to be signed out? Or is it something that in the future he will need to be signed out with being part devil?
yeah, I also found that really interesting. It's like the bureau views her as just like a tool for killing devils. She's not a person to them, which I thought was interesting. And like you said, Denji doesn't have that, at least yet. So I'm kind of interested to see where they put Denji on this scale of an agent, so to speak.
I think Denji and Power are both kind of on this. We talk about the short leash, except the leash on there's just like a gun pointed at their head the whole time, and they're like, "Go ahead, screw up." Like the organization will just come kill you. It's fine. So I feel like if they screw up at all, there's a dark ending for them.
And there's a chance like Power has done some, independent actions that they didn't like, so that's why they put her on a tighter leash that we don't know about. And
We
Denji's the
don't
new
know
guy,
everything about her. Yeah,
so it's interesting.
So the next thing we see is Makima talking to the board. And I was wondering whenever she was talking what her game is. There has to be some sort of something going on behind the scenes with her because she brings up that Denji is an interesting pup, and in the car, Aki calls him disgusting, not interesting, and Makima defends him. And when Makima is talking to the board, she also mentions a promising pup, which is that Aki? Is that Power? Is that someone else entirely that we haven't met yet?
I mean, I'm assuming she's talking about Denji because even back to episode 1, they constantly refer to Denji as like a dog. So my assumption is she's talking about Denji, and he's promising, but he's new, and they're not sure what he's capable of yet.
Yeah, I would also guess she's talking about Denji because, like you said, they just always refer to him as a pup. But yeah, I feel like they make it seem like Denji's really rare as like what happened to him, being like part like devil, part person. So um, that seems like kind of unprecedented, maybe. So I feel like she knows stuff about this. Like she seems so confident, like and trust him almost immediately. And you feel like there has to be a reason for that, right? Like she knows things that the viewer does not.
And then, so next we see Denji and Power walking up to the house where Meowy is supposedly being held. And Denji's like, wait a second. Why? You can't be here. You said that the devil would use Meowy as a shield, as a fluffy shield. And Power's like, oh, shit. Yeah, I did say that. That was my story, wasn't it? And we get our weekly Denji's betrayed.
Betrayal.
I did like how Power can decide the size of her blood hammer. Because as we saw in episode 2, it was a rather large blood hammer. And when she betrays Denji, it's rather small, something that you could swing very quickly.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see like if Power were to cut loose in a fight, like what can she do? Like the blood is it her blood? Is it random blood? I don't remember how she generates that, but I really would like to see her go all out and see what she's capable of.
Definitely seems like one of those characters where we haven't even seen her final form. You know what I mean? Like she's just gonna go loose and crazy with the blood, and it's gonna be a really cool scene that hopefully doesn't end in her death or something.
Yeah, I hope Power sticks around because I'm kind of taking a liking to her after these two episodes.
So after Denji's knocked out, Power drags him into the house, and we are introduced to the Bat Devil. And then when we see the Bat Devil and Power talking, and Bat Devil was like, "Oh, you didn't do the right thing, and I'm so disappointed in you." I totally expected Meowy to be just dead right off the get go, and then whenever Bat Devil's like, "Well, you need punished," and just eats Meowy, I'm like, "Okay, there it is."
Yeah, I was a little bummed out. I saw the cat in the cage, and I was like, okay, well, the cat's still alive. That's good. And then he eats the entire cage with Meowy in it. And I was like, oh, no, not the cat.
I was also
Immediately,
kind of surprised the cat was even alive when they arrived. Like I thought it
yeah,
was gonna be like, "Pff, Meow's been dead for like 4 days. What have you been doing?" Totally expecting that.
immediately he eats the cat. And like you said, Sean, you hate this Bat Devil now. You're not supposed to like the devils in general, but the Bat Devil, harming animals, it's got to go.
And I like his design, by the way. The Bat Devil's super creepy looking.
Yes.
So well done, animation team and artists, because you know he's creepy.
Yeah, he looks good.
So I really enjoyed seeing Power's backstory with Meowy. How it started with, "Oh, you're just going to be something for me to feast on after I fatten you up," to fall in love with Meowy and Meowy falling asleep on her chest and begging for food. And it was very interesting to see how it foiled the Denji Pochita backstory that we saw in episode 1.
Yeah, as a cat owner again, just seeing the connection starting to form. Like you said, the cat's sleeping on her, traveling with her, hanging out with her. There's the scene where like the cat jumps up on her shoulder and it's just like taking a nap as she's walking through the woods. That bonding there. It's like, yeah, I totally get that. That's what cats do.
So after we get a little backstory with Meowy and Power, the Bat Devil decides to take off and find some good blood because Denji's blood was foul and disgusting. Let him heal his arm, but he needed clean human blood, not tainted with tobacco or alcohol or drugs or makeup. He wanted virgin blood. And so we see the Bat Devil take off. And how in the hell did the Bat Devil not realize that Denji attached to him?
That's a good question.
Very good question. Anime.
I
I mean,
mean,
I want to see. Uh,
the scene happens really quick. I almost didn't notice it either at first because you see him like jump out of the house into the air, and Denji's there, but it's such a quick thing. And I was like, did he just grab his leg? And then they show him up in the air, and like, yeah, he did. That was some quick reaction. He just jumped up there.
so Denji drinks the Bat Devil's blood to heal himself, and the Bat Devil gets all pissed, saying, "What are you doing?" and "Get off me!" And then like, "You want to fight?" And Denji's like he's like, "You could be getting all types of blood," and Denji's like, "I don't want blood. I just want boobs."
I mean, in the earlier scene, I wrote down some notes while I was watching these. The scene that kicked this whole thing off with Power at the vending machine when he crushes the can. I wrote down the line, at least in the English one. I'll kill the shit out of that asshole to grab some titties. Like that's just an incredible line. Who writes that? Who says that? It's so ridiculous. I loved it. It was hilarious. And this
Plus,
is he's staying true to his goals.
Turtle, you and I have watched a lot of anime, and I've seen my fair share of extremely perverted anime characters, but there's so few. Like a lot of them, they dance around innuendos, and they sometimes make a side comment that makes some of the characters roll their eyes. But this man is so serious about it, like his conviction. He is so serious about it, and it's not just comic relief. Like he's truly driven by this, and I can't tell if like I should be like kind of off put by it. Like is it off putting, or do I actually admire the character because he knows what he wants, he sticks to his convictions, and it's not like it's not he wants consent. You know what I mean? Like it's not like he's like weirdly perving on women. He's not doing random groping or anything weird like that. But he's just like, hey, for this, I'll do this. And if they say yes, then he's ultra motivated and achieves whatever goal is in front of him.
I mean, I have to respect that part at least. Where again, it's consent. He's not just grabbing random people on the street. And like you said, I mean, he's like, hey, if for this I just have to do that, well, I'm going to go get that done, and I'll be back before you know it. And he sticks to his guns, and that's something to be admired.
So the Bat Devil lands with Denji still attached, and we get fight. And so Denji's like, "All right, you want to go? I'm gonna transform into Chainsaw Devil." And one, I thought it was really cool to see Denji be able to transform his arms back and forth from human arms to chainsaw arms and back and forth.
I love that he's like still discovering himself and his powers and what he can do because like he turns them off and he's like, oh, I can turn them off and on. Interesting. Like mid fight.
It's only the second time he's a chainsaw man, right?
Yes, yeah.
So
Episode
like,
1 and episode 3.
yeah, you have to realize like he's had no training.
No, it's all like instinct.
Even when he fought with alongside Pochita, I'm pretty sure he just held Pochita like a chainsaw and ran up and cut stuff with him. So
Yeah.
like this is completely different. Like it's just the second time doing it.
I mean, if I would have inherited the ability to have my face and my limbs turn into chainsaws, I figure I would like practice that on my own a little bit before going into some battles. How does this work, you know?
Yeah, what if the transformation is like painful or only meant to be used sparingly, or it takes a lot of juice? Like is he just gonna be wiped out after every time he transforms, so he can't just kind of do it? Like he wouldn't want to do it at will. I don't know. They still haven't explained the limitations of his powers.
Yeah, and that's I mean for me personally, that's all the more reason why I would want to practice like what are my limits? Can I do this forever? Do I run out of juice after 30 minutes? Do I have to fight fast? Or, once I deactivate my powers, am I down for an hour or more or am I okay? Can I still move? These are like things that I would want to know before going into a fight and, hope for the best. And that's kind of what he does.
So I thought it was really cool that even when he was in Chainsaw Devil mode, Denji was still trying to save people. He told that lady to leave the building, like broke her like shock, threw that guy out of the car, even though he said he didn't give a shit about him. So he was still holding his human beliefs even when he was a devil. And we see that a little bit in episode 4 whenever Aki is interviewing people, not to jump too far ahead.
Yeah, that's another part of Denji's character, harkening back to the other two episodes, where he seems he says often like, well, I don't care, whatever, whatever, and then in the moment he's still trying to protect people. So that's something that I do really like about Denji is regardless of what he says or how he acts in the moment, he's still trying to help people so nobody gets killed by some random devil. So
And during this fight, Bat Devil, sir, he went from suck to blow. When he did that big blowing attack, that was the first thing I thought of.
he's going from suck to blow.
So the fight ends. Denji defeats the Bat Devil, and at the end of the fight, I thought the visual was really cool when Denji was just standing there. His bloody shirt was flowing like a cape in the wind. It was just really well done visually.
Yeah, I really like this fight scene. It was very cool. It's pretty much like the second half of the episode, or at least the ending third of the episode was just this fight, and it's really well done, really cool.
So after that, we get the end credit song, and I really liked this end credit song. Just how I thought it did a great job bouncing back and forth from chaotic to calm, almost to show human Denji and Chainsaw Denji. I thought that was a really interesting choice on how the music played out.
Yeah, this I looked this information up like I did for the previous ones. The ending song is called 200 million centimeter long blades, and it's by the band Maximum the Hormone. For me particularly, I understand this song jumps around a lot. The tempo, like the feel, the style. It's constantly shifting back and forth, which, like you said, I think is a like a metaphor or a symbolism for Denji being human mode and chainsaw mode. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the song because I think it jumps too much. It's too erratic for me. But I understand what they're doing with it. So but yeah, 200 million centimeter long blades by the band Maximum the Hormone. Check it out. Check them out if you like what they're doing. That particular song, not my favorite.
So now we get into episode 4, Rescue. And right off the get go, we see more of Power's backstory with Meowy. And I also thought, like, during this backstory, I thought it was really cool that her blood hammer isn't always a hammer. She made it a blood hatchet to chop up that cow to feast on and everything. So I wonder what all she can end up making weapon wise out of her blood. Is it blunt objects? Can she make like a blood gun? Can she make what can she make with her blood?
That's a real good question. Is it up to her imagination, or is she limited to, just objects that she can hold? She can't make, like, maybe she could make a gun, but can it shoot? Can it shoot blood bullets, or is it just a gun that she can smack you with? So that's something I'm also curious to see how her power works and what else she can do.
I am a little surprised that we're spending the beginning of the episode talking about the limitations of her power and not how they open the episode pretty much with her like sucking the guts out of a cow. Uh, or just like her sitting there with a hatchet in front of a bear and then like walking away with the bear's head in her hands. It being like, "Yep, it's a nice bear head I have here. Very delicious." Power versus cocaine bear. I think Power's gonna win the battle
Coming to
in this
theaters
one.
in 2024.
Cocaine Bear 2, The
They
Battle
always
of
make those.
Power.
They always make those anime movies that have nothing to do with the anime. You know what I'm talking about? Like they make an anime movie, and we can talk about the Dragon Ball Z ones that just completely aren't even canon. Like the Dragon Ball Z ones where you're like, yeah, this could like kind of fit in the show, but not really, and also they'll never reference it in the show, so I guess it didn't happen. But then you get all these other ones where they're like, yeah, this is kind of like this is a movie, but it's a side story. We will never mention it in the show. And I'm just saying the Power versus Cocaine Bear movie could just be one of those.
It's true, especially with Dragon Ball Z the movies. I mean, I like a lot of the movies. I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball and Z, and I even like some stuff in Super. I won't say the whole thing, but
Yeah, but at
you
least
know,
the super ones have like implications on the show, kind of, even though in the early ones they just rehash the movies into the show.
yeah. I mean, the Dragon Ball Z movies, they make references to the show and not vice versa. So it's like you watch the movie and like they reference Frieza, but it doesn't seem to fit in the timeline anywhere. So it's almost like the movies are an alternate timeline if things would have happened differently. So and sometimes they'll have movies that are canon. Some are like offshoots. Some are just random, and you're like, what even is this? So I mean, I would be down for watching Cocaine Bear versus Power. That would be pretty wild.
But on the subject of anime movies, I'm glad they are coming around a little bit. There were a lot of old anime movies that were like the Dragon Ball Z ones, where they just had nothing to do with the show. And
Yeah.
now you're starting to get ones like Demon Slayer Mugen Train,
Oof.
where like it actually has storyline implications, even though they just made the movie into the series. And same with the Jujutsu Kaisen movie. I saw that one in theaters, and that one actually deals with like it's like a prequel kind of to the show,
Yeah.
but it's canon, and I think we'll see in the show that it will maybe have implications. And the character that we meet in the movies, like the main character of the movies, will most likely be in episodes later in the series, and I doubt they'll turn that movie into a show. So I'm very happy that I watched an anime movie where the plot actually matters a little bit, and I'll get to meet the character it's about.
Yeah, I would very much like more Jujutsu Kaisen because I really liked the first season, and
Yeah.
I didn't get to watch the movie in theater, but I did see it on Crunchyroll. They have it posted there. I don't know if it still is, but I watched it on there. I don't know, a couple months back, and I really liked it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, and this anime in particular, Chainsaw Man, reminds me a lot of Jujutsu Kaisen. And when I was watching it at first, I was like, there are way too many parallels. I was like, Aki and I can't remember the name of the character for Jujutsu Kaisen. Remind me of the same guy. The two main characters here are similar in a lot of the ways of that. They're like I don't know, kind of dumb boys who like to do good. Like
Yeah,
that kind of sums up every shonen main character, though.
kind
Uh,
of, yeah. But I definitely get with these two shows anyway, with Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man, where they're guys who have absorbed some sort of demon or devil powers, and they're just trying to do the best that they can and not get killed and try to prevent others from dying as well.
and join an organization where people in the organization may also want them dead, and things
Yeah,
like that. So, um, yeah, but not to derail too far off of Chainsaw Man.
Hey, that's the bantering part of the
It's the banter.
podcast.
That's
that's
the
true.
anime banter.
It's in the title.
So we get back to post fight, and Power's pretty dazed. She realizes Meowy's still alive, and she sees Denji just sitting there looking like a fool. And she's like, "Why did you save me?" And Denji doesn't really talk. He just points at her breast and motions with his hands that he wants to grope them. And Power's just like, That's such a foolish reason." And I laughed and I'm like, "Yep, totally agree, Power. Totally agree."
Yeah, he's basically he's just got a one track mind at this point, where that is his goal, and he will do whatever it takes to reach that goal, and he's not reached the goal yet.
So,
Well, I
go ahead.
do want to say though that he says that's the goal, but I'm not so sure that Denji wouldn't have saved her anyway. He just seems kind of like a good guy. I think he
Yeah,
just did it with more motivation
yeah, that's
this
fair.
way.
I agree with
But
that. And I think he also doesn't want to show Power how much that, like, yes, I will be your friend. If he just says it's for groping, then she'll still think of him as an idiot.
But we all
And
know he's a little bit more than that,
yes.
just a little.
So Power agrees to let Denji touch her boobs. And Denji gets all excited. He's screaming in the streets. He's pumping his fist. And how in the hell did his hand blow off? Like, I can't tell you how many times I've watched this scene and, like, tried to pause, like, go slow mo just to see, like, did the Leech Devil shoot something at him? Like, how did his hand pop off besides just he got so excited and he got, like, pretty much just blood was pumping so fast that his hand just popped off, spontaneously popped off.
I think the Leech Devil did something similar to like the Bat Devil, where like the Bat Devil had the blow attack. I think she had like a compressed air bullet kind of thing, where she was able to just like blow wind at such a force, that it was able to just take part of his arm off. Which I was sort of in shock at that point because I was like, hey, the fight's over. He's excited. He's jumping up and down, and then all of a sudden, there goes the arm, and I was like, oh my, the fight's not over yet. I guess that caught me off guard.
Yeah, me too. You really don't expect the second devil to make an appearance, and let alone just to chop his hand off. But like you said, uh, Mike, on that one, there's just they don't show like a swift movement. You can pause it, and there's just like nothing there besides his hand like popping off. So they don't even show. I was like, oh, was it like the Leash Devil's arm? Was it like a blast of some sort? I don't know. I guess all that matters is that the Leech Devil ate his hand. I don't know. We don't even know how we got there. We just need to know that we got there.
So the Leech Devil is totally ready to let Denji go. Says, "Oh, you're just so handsome. I won't kill you. You're too handsome to kill. You're free to go." And Denji's like, "Well, what about Power and Meow?" And she's like, "Nah, they're dead. Fuck them." And Denji's just ready to square up. With one hand, he pulls the chainsaw string, and a mini chainsaw comes out of his head. And I thought it was interesting that the blade on his head almost looked to be about the length of the blade on Pochita when Pochita was alive.
I noticed that too, and I don't know if that's like a callback, but I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting because that's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, that looks like Pochita's versus the normal chainsaw blade that comes out. So
So they're fighting. The Leech Devil can't believe Denji is fighting and like pretty much ask, "Why are you fight like what is your reason for fighting?" And Denji's like, "Well, I want to touch boobs." And even the Leech Devil's like, "You are a moron. That is a dumb reason to fight." And two, why didn't Denji just touch the Leech Devil's boobs? Like the Leech Devil's like, "Oh, you're so handsome." Like there's no way. Like it's like she has six titties just sitting there. Like she probably would have let you touch one if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I mean they're just hanging out. Like she's not attempting to cover him up. She probably would have let him, but nice guy Denji probably wouldn't have let her eat Power. So
yeah, I
I guess
think
that's.
Denji's still he's still more human than Devil at this point, so he wants some human boob.
I would say Devil's not really a human necessarily, but like close enough, I guess, for Denji.
Yeah,
Not Leech Boob.
yeah.
Leech
I
Devil
don't
boob.
I don't think Denji's looking for Leech Devil boob.
Okay. His loss.
I also love how the Leech Devil and the Bat Devil are a couple just for real world like reasons. Like it just fits perfectly.
Yeah, it did crack me up. They're like, Leech Devil's like, that's my boyfriend. And I'm like, wait, what?
What a power couple there.
Yeah, yeah.
So Denji finally gets so pissed off at everyone calling his dreams dumb. We see flashbacks of Aki saying he does it for revenge, and the police do it to protect their families, and these people do it for this reason, and and everyone's saying, "Oh, well, your dream is dumb. Like you're doing it for all the wrong reasons." And Denji just says, you know what? Fine, we're having a dream battle royale. And if I win, that means touching boobs is the best dream.
I think I could say I've never had a dream battle against anyone, so I had to laugh at that. I really enjoyed that. That was pretty funny.
I yeah, I was gonna say I think that I think nobody's motivation should be mocked. Like what gets you out of you think about things that like what gets you out of bed in the morning. We go do like the 8 to 5 grind, you know what I mean, or whatever. Like what gets someone to go to work? What gets someone to get out of bed? Like what pushes you forward for education and things like that. And everyone has their own motivation, and Denji's is just simpler.
I mean, you got to figure like before all this happened, he was basically dead and dying. He had absolutely nothing. So now he has a second chance at life, some crazy superpowers, and he wants to experience the world. So I get it.
He set small obtainable goals, and he is achieving those goals. Baby steps.
One step at a
Break da-
time.
break down big goals into small goals.
Yeah. However, I do like his facial expressions when he's fighting. They make him look like a true madman.
How his like one eye was like bulging out of his head and the other eye was like looking down at the ground.
Yes, that's
That
what I'm
was
talking about.
that was fantastic, and it was that moment that Power realized that he was a devil.
Yeah, yeah, he definitely has some very crazy facial expressions. Just him like screaming at the leech devil during the fight. It's just he turns into like a literal crazy person.
So, just an interesting callback once again. During the fight, the Leech Devil barks at Denji, and it's once again Denji is being called a dog.
Like I know
Always.
Puchita is based on a dog, but yeah, they are really pushing this dog reference.
So then so before Aki shows up, Denji goes for one last attack, and all you see is blood coming down, and you're like, oh, he got her. He pulled her hair. He used his little blade to chop at her face, and then the screen pans up, and we see Denji is impaled by her tongue, and the leech devil is saying, "Oh, well, this will be a good snack. I'll eat him." And then Aki, out of nowhere, just summons a fox devil to eat the leech devil. And I thought that entire fight scene was just incredible from start to end.
Yeah, I mean I have to give Denji points for durability. He fought the Bat Devil and immediately goes into battle again with the Leech Devil. And by the time he's fighting the Leech Devil, he's low on blood, he's low on strength, low on stamina, and he just refuses to back down and throws everything he has at this Leech Devil. And he surprisingly did pretty well until he gets impaled there. But yeah, I mean he can take a beating. He is very durable, and the Fox Devil is super cool.
Yeah, I thought the fox devil was pretty sweet, and Aki was just a badass, just like, all right, I guess I'll save you. Eat him.
Yeah, that scene with Aki is just so good. Like, well, because we don't really know what he can really do till that point. It is a complete surprise when that happens. You're just like, what did I just watch?
Yeah, I was very surprised at that scene too, because like he always mentions, "Oh, I hate devils. I hate devils. I'm never gonna be friends with devils. Like, never gonna happen." And then all of a sudden, he summons a devil. It's like, whoa, wait, hold on. Like, are you like what?
Yeah, I guess it's a lesser of evil situation, right? It's like, well, the fox devil isn't that evil, so I guess I can team up with him to kill other devils.
And that's what we learn whenever Aki is talking to Denji in the hotel. Like, Denji's like, okay, well, you hate devils so much. Why the hell did you summon the fox devil? And Aki's like, it's a a give and take. Like, I only summoned him because I needed to. Like, I still hate devils, but sometimes I make them work for me. and summoning that devil cost me a piece of my skin.
Yeah, I like that they point out that there's a cost. It's not like, oh, I just summon a devil and then they do my bidding and go away. It actually costs him something. In this case, like a chunk of his skin that I guess he, the fox devil takes as payment for helping him out. So there is a cost.
I wonder how they like did they capture that fox devil? Did like how did the fox devil start working and partnering with Aki, I wonder?
Yeah, I mean, how did he forge the contract with the fox devil to make that work?
Well, some devils may just be willing. Some devils may just not be as evil as others.
That's true.
We don't know
And
enough about the devil society. We really don't. Like,
that's
are
a
they
good
all
point.
just despicable human eaters? Obviously, Pochita isn't, and this fox devil isn't. So there are definitely layers to the devils. We just don't know enough yet.
That's very true.
True, absolutely. But while they were in the hospital, it made me wonder if Aki has some sort of game opposite of Makima, or is he just looking out for Denji with, hey, I still don't like you, but follow my rules and you'll be okay, and like I won't turn you in, and why are you like trying to cover for power? And so it's like, is Aki trying to like, is Aki just being a good guy, or does Aki have ulterior motives?
I don't know. I feel like he has the hots for Makima, so I feel like he's definitely trying his best.
Yeah, I agree. They really made it a point to point that out, where like he's definitely interested in Makima. So whatever she wants him to do, he's gonna, behave and do it to the best of his ability. Um, but he gets kind of the short straw because she makes him deal with Denji and he has to like kind of rule over power as well. So
What I thought was interesting, Aki was in his debriefing with Makima, and they're talking, and during this debriefing, Aki makes mention that when they're examining the devils, they didn't find gun flesh. And I thought that was really interesting because we're towards the end of episode 4, and we've never heard gun flesh mentioned at all. This is something brand new. So I'm just wondering what gun flesh is in devils.
yeah, I mean, is it from like one specific devil, or is it something that devils can gain or evolve into? I don't know what that means either. And obviously, they're setting up for something in the future. So I'm curious to see where that goes.
Yeah, I think I like that they do a pretty good job of planting some seeds and intrigue in this show. Where like when they finish an arc, you want to stay tuned to the next one because they always leave you with a few more questions than answers.
So Aki's waking up in his apartment, enjoying the morning. Denji's like, "Why the hell is he up so early? Like, I just want to keep sleeping." And then they hear a knock at the door, and they just keep knocking and knocking, and the knocking gets increasingly louder and more violent until the handle goes flying off the door, and there's Power saying, pretty much saying, "Yo, I'm living with you guys now." And Aki, I felt so bad for him in this scene. It's like he went from living by himself to having to live with Denji. And it seems like things are finally good between the two of them living situation wise. And now they have to live with Power. And I thought it was hilarious seeing Denji siding with Aki on all the house stuff after episode 1 when Denji was being an absolute mess and a terrible roommate. Here, Power's doing the same thing, and Denji's like, "Hey, respect the vegetables. Clean up your like flush flush your the toilet. Take a bath." So it was just very interesting to see how much Denji has changed in such a short time when it comes to living somewhere nice.
Yeah, I think Denji and Aki finally like, even after like these two episodes, they finally like have gotten lined up at least as far as living situation where they're on the same page. You know, Denji kind of like did his experimentation early on, but he's like got himself in line. Like, okay, don't do this. I can do that. We're all cool now. And then here comes the third wheel, throwing everything back into greater chaos than it was before. She's like she punches the hole through the door or whatever, sends the handle flying, both of them are in attack mode, like we're being assaulted, and it's just power. And poor Aki's just like, why me?
I will say that the you have to consider like both Denji and Power until very recently were homeless. It's not like they had families growing up, so we're like, yeah, they're terrible roommates. But then you realize you're like, they just don't really know how to live in a normal house.
No, not at all.
Like it's a learning process, and yeah, Power is a true terror. You know, like clogging the toilet with toilet paper and throwing vegetables around and stuff. Like I don't know, it's very comedic.
Yeah, I love how like Power was like vegetables are gross, and she's like throwing them, and Denji gets all upset because there were times where like his dinner was a single slice of bread that was split with Pochita. So now that he has like food, do not throw food in front of him. He will lose his mind. He's like, don't waste food. People took time to grow this and to cook it. What's wrong with you? And I had to laugh at that. I'm like, yeah, that's he does not want things to be wasted, and I respect that.
So the episode comes to a close with Denji cleaning the toilet of Power's number two, and he is not happy, and he even calls her the shit devil, where her shit turns to concrete after not flushing. And Power walks in and sits on the toilet. It's like, look, I wasn't planning on doing this, but you saved my ass multiple times. You are thrice blessed. You get 3 booby touches. And Denji, at first, like, he went from like, huh, to holy shit, I am the happiest man in the world. This girl is an angel. She can do no wrong.
Also, I do want to say the scene of her sitting on the toilet here is they made that into an anime figure. You can buy an anime figure like the shot of her like sitting cross-legged on the toilet. Yeah, like that's an actual anime figure you can buy.
I should have known.
Like when men are turned into anime figures, they always look so cool. When women are turned into anime figures, they're sitting on toilets. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think that would happen. I should have known better.
So thus concludes episode 4. Turtle, what were your? Do you want to discuss the end credit song at all?
Yeah, this particular song is called Tablet, and it's by the group or band Tooboe in all caps. I don't know if you're supposed to say each letter or pronounce it like to Bowie or to Boo. I'm not sure. But the song is called Tablet. The song, as well as the visuals, are all about power. It's constantly her, different images of her just doing her thing, and I actually really like this song. It's very wacky. It just really fits with Power's personality, which so far has been sort of unpredictable and all over the place. And I thought this was a really cool song, and it really fits Power's character so far really, really well.
So in general, I thought episode 3 was a little slow on its own. It wasn't until it had some good, decent character building. Um, at times, I felt like there were too many storylines happening and things were a little rushed. But once you add in episode 4 and almost treat it as a 2-part arc, it worked really well together. Episode 4 left me with a lot of questions going forward. Um, Mainly the gunflesh and like how what Makima's game is. Granted, that was more episode 3, but episode 4 we saw our first real fight that wasn't like a couple minutes, a la episode 1 and episode 3. And I thought the fight scene, just the visuals in that fight scene were fantastic. And then once again, in both episodes, Denji is referred to as a dog or a pup, continuing that theme that has now happened in every episode.
Yeah, the fight scene, especially in episode 4, that like the animation is very fluid and loose, and it lets you have a lot of fun with how your characters move and how they look. And I really like the animation for this show so far. I'm I don't think it's like the best animation ever, but because the way they draw these characters very kind of like fluid, it lets you do some really cool things, and it lets you exaggerate certain things, especially in a fight. I really think the fight scenes for episode 3 and 4, especially 4, are really cool. And I can't wait to see what future fights are going to do when they start introducing like a major, if they're going to introduce like a major reoccurring villain. I'm interested to see if that's the thing and like what their powers are going to be, and then how the fight scenes are going to go from here. But I like these episode 3 and 4. Just the fights in general, they're getting a little bit more detailed, a little bit longer, so we could kind of get to see more of what these characters are capable of, and the animation I think is really cool.
And I do want to give you guys a slight spoiler. The name of episode 5 is called Gun Devil.
Guess we're gonna find out about that gunflesh real soon.
Yeah, so I think that the gun flesh is going to be explained sooner than later, which I'm fine with. I don't want that to hang out there for 8 episodes. Nothing worse than someone planning like a seed that you think is really important and then ignoring it for half the series. I'm like, no, just if you put it out there, just tell me what's up. So I like that. My main takeaway from the episodes is Denji already going to achieve his dream of touching boobs?
And
That's
if
what I
so,
want to know. Honestly, that everything else pales in comparison to Denji's
what's his
dream.
new? If he does touch boobs, what's his new dream gonna be?
I'm gonna guess more boobs.
Yeah, well, he hasn't. Yeah, I think he has some other steps in there that he can take, so he might just keep upping that ante.
He could. We'll have to find out in the next episode, maybe.
So that brings us to our waifu of the week segment. Turtle, who is your waifu this week and why?
For this week, I have to go with Power. I mean, I feel like both of these episodes were mostly like an introduction to who Power is as a character, as a person. Not so much as a fighter, but we get to learn her backstory a little bit. Her not necessarily like her origins, but like her more recent, how she came into where she is now, and you kind of get to see her kind of grow as a person a little bit as well throughout these. But I got to go with Power. I think she was kind of the most interesting to kind of watch her come around from like, oh, I'm just gonna betray this Denji kid and kill him off and feed him to the Bat Devil to get my cat back. To this guy stood up for me for really no reason other than he wants to touch my boobs, and he went above and beyond in saving her life and saving the cat's life, which is important to her. Um, but I just thought she was kind of the most interesting character this week, personally for me. So I'm gonna go with Power.
Sean, who is your waifu of the week?
My waifu of the week is Aki. Aki saves the day when you most needed him to. He gave up some of his flesh to save Denji, and we learn a lot about him. Not to mention, he makes a wonderful housemate. He keeps things nice and clean and cooks you meals. I mean, I'm just saying, we all want a friend like Aki.
And my waifu of the week is Denji. And while I still think his dream is foolish and dumb, in general, he was a very good guy this week. Like, he easily could have left Power to die to the Leech Devil. The Leech Devil gave him an out, and he decided, I'm going to stick around and fight. Especially after being betrayed by Power, initially to the Bat Devil. Thank you for joining us this week as we watch Chainsaw Man. We hope you join us next week for episode 3 of the Anime Banter podcast, where we will watch episodes 5 and 6 of Chainsaw Man. Please give us a 5-star review on all platforms that allow reviews. Turtle, do you have anything you would like to plug?
Like last time, I do have a YouTube channel called RPG Treasure Trove, where a friend and I will basically sit on a couch together and play RPG games. So if you're into video games as well, please feel free to check us out.
Great. Sean, do you have anything you would like to plug?
Once again, please check out the Deepman Files podcast. Deepman spelled Deitttman. I am a voice actor in that, and it'd be great if you could give us a listen.
And I'm on an episode 2.
This is true. We have a guest voice from Turtle.
The Anime Banter podcast can be found on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you all for joining, and we will talk to you next week.